crystal face might sound like something that is a sales and marketing pitch to get on a plane and go to Turkey to get your teeth sorted out. But actually, it's a grille on the front of a Skoda. And it's part of a near €9,000 optional extra advanced pack that gets you an augmented reality heads-up display, traffic assist, adaptive radar cruise control, and many other bits that really do add to the car, like the Canton sound system that does sound better than the standard system. But all in all, it makes for a very, very expensive car, because the Enyaq is starting from about €54,000 in the smaller battery version of it. This car is closer to 70, and it's not even a sport line. So the front of the Enyaq coupe doesn't really look that different to the normal standard Enyaq SUV. In fact, the Enyaq has a 15-litre bigger boot, a little bit more space inside, and the Enyaq will do everything that the coupe can, apart from look maybe, potentially, slightly better. This particular vehicle also has Skoda's matrix headlight system, which if you can imagine driving on a dark road, the lights just kind of spread out like this to brighten up really dark country lanes and things like that. There's many wheel options. These aren't the best looking versions you can get. There's the smaller 60 battery. This is the 80, so it's a 77 kilowatt hour. It will do 135 kilowatt charging, which is faster than the entry level battery. That's 120. Still pretty good, and you can use that on Ionity and those 150 kilowatt ESB chargers if you're lucky enough to find one. So in here we still have it. The bean counters in Skoda have not removed the umbrella. It's still present and correct, which is very nice. So you get that sloping roof line of the car, which cuts down here. Skoda do say it doesn't eat too much into your headspace. And your charging port is on this side of the car, remember that. And there should be a little, funnily enough, a petrol kind of nozzle on the right hand side of the car, and generally that means if it's on the right, your fuel point should be on the right. If it's on the left, vice versa. So if you drop the rear seats in a standard Enyaq, it's over 1700 litres. The boot in the Enyaq is 585. In this, it's 570. So 15 litres short of the standard car. But for a coupe design, that's not too bad at all. There's nothing below the floor to store anything. Nothing really worth talking about. There is a little Skoda pouch that I found, which you're meant to put your cables into. But I find if you're a lazy git like me, you'll charge it and you just won't bother putting it neatly back in. But you can do that. There's all kinds of Skoda cleverness as usual, shopping hooks and the usual things that they like to stick in their boots to show off, but they do simply clever. And you get a standard powered tailgate, again on the more expensive version of the Enyaq coupe. No, the leather seats are not standard. Standard on the car is cloth, and this kind of chocolate tanned effect is quite nice. I like it. Some people may not, be a fan. They might think it's just too bright, but I think it actually works really well against the contrast of the black parts of the dashboard, and you get that tan leather right across the main part of the dash too. So it's a nice enough feature. They've removed the cover from the standard Enyaq, so this is heat treated glass in the sense that it can manage really hot days, because it is nice to be able to chuck a cover sometimes you're just not in the mood for the sun. Now, even though this has the coupe version, it's still got plenty of space. Like, there is lots and lots. Apparently they've made that glass thinner as well to give you even more space within the back of the Enyaq. That advanced pack gets you 2 USB-C charging ports in the back, your own climate control. This car has rear heated seats in the outer rear too. So as much as it's €9,000, there is a huge amount of stuff in that, but it's still €9,000. You've got a really generous access point to the boot in here also. In fact, you get a child lost in there. There's cup holders that actually will properly hold drinks, because this bit sits upright at an angle and holds your drink in place. So very practical. There's plenty of leg room. This thing also has a kind of a removable plastic holder thing as well. Somebody needs to puke on a journey, you can just into that and just throw it out the window or wash it. There's also removable plastic bits here as well to hold bottles in place. So that's actually a handy little feature. Minus the idea of you've now got people puking in your head. Sorry about that. Oh, and also window blinds. So these come on the advanced pack. Lift them up, and there's actually a significant difference when you raise them to keep kids happy in the back. There ain't too much to report that's different up front in the coupe version of the Enyaq either. Physical buttons, large 13-inch screen as standard is here. You've got your smaller instruments display on this side of the car. Steering wheel is the same. Storage for sunglasses and little coin holders for the toll bridge, and wireless charging that comes again as part of that advanced pack. More space for drinks holders. Credit card can go in there again for tolls. You still have the little tag up here on your windscreen for your parking ticket. There is no USB port actually, from what I can tell up here. If you want to use a dash cam, the Skoda Octavia for example has that as standard. I do like the little flecks of black that kind of just stand out in the car, and again it just works very well against this tan chocolate mocha lady marmalade leather. So the Skoda app is really useful. You can plan journeys, you can factor in your charging spots that you'll have to do. The travel assist that's in the car, that will read speed signs. It will come into a roundabout, slow the car down for you without you having to brake. So there are lots of really clever bits involved in this car that do make driving a little bit easier in terms of assistance packs and swarm data and all that kind of stuff that's built into the system. Use the nav in the car to find a charging port, and it'll precondition the battery to make sure you get the best charging speed out of your car when you're trying to charge at that 135 kilowatt speed if you're using something of that capability. A couple of things actually just to mention to you. If you want to support the channel, you can hit up buymeacoffee.com/NobbyOnCars. Hopefully you have subscribed by now. And also if you want to search for the motoring podcast Driving Forces, that's a weekly podcast that Bob Flavin and myself do on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast from. And we cover everything from Irish motoring news, international motoring news, what we're driving this week, and just general lads chat. So Driving Forces is the name of the podcast. Rear wheel drive, 204 brake horsepower. I should mention I did review the RS version of the Enyaq. I don't even know if that's going to come to Ireland because of the price of it over a year ago, and I'll leave a link to the video of the car at the end of this video, so hopefully you'll get to watch both. But this is the 204 brake horsepower rear wheel drive standard performance output that you'll get again in the Enyaq. This isn't sitting on the biggest set of alloy wheels you can get, but it is quite firm. There's quite a lot of lumps and bumps being felt through the cabin, and while there's a couple of potholes and stuff I'm dodging here, it's not the worst road in Ireland, so there's quite an element of bone shaking going on. It's quite a heavy car as well. It weighs well over 2 ton. That said, because of electric torque, there's plenty of it. You never feel like it's a slouch. You know, it's fine for overtaking and doing all the usual bits that you might want to do in a family car. The travel assist now is reading signs, and it's going from a 60 to a 50, and I can feel it braking for me, and that stuff is really good. It works very well. I can't say I've ever had it misbehave in the way maybe lane keep assist might. Again, loads of stuff in the car. Blind spot, huge big orange indicator lights on your side mirrors. They'll keep you from pulling out in front of something that you haven't seen in your blind spot. It's the second Skoda to get the augmented reality head-up display. It works really well. It'll point you in the direction if you're using the nav inbuilt in the car. So it's really no excuse for missing a turn again. And lads, it is definitely your fault if you do miss a turn and nobody else's. You have paddles to change your level of regen in the car, but then you can also just leave it in automatic mode, and I kind of tend to. So the range is supposedly over 500 kilometers. It's April as I'm filming this. It's 10 degrees. I've got 70%, and I'm just over 300 kilometers of range. I think you definitely get 400 out of it this time of year on a full charge. Again, it depends though. You're going to take it onto a motorway. On the long range data setting on the car, it is at about 18 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is okay. It's not amazing, And the usual story, if you go on a motorway at 120, that'll be easily 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. But the good thing about the Enyaq is you can obviously charge it very fast once you get access to a fast charger. But it goes without saying, if you're going to get an EV, you really want to have a home charger. The difference in price is quite noticeable. It can be in some cases double the price of charging at home, and in many other cases 10 times the price of charging at home if you've got a night rate and you do all of your heavy duty charging when you're tucked up in bed. Because public charging is not like, in the sense of you have to rely on petrol and diesel stations. You don't, unless you're stuck, have to rely on the public charging system. And they know that, and they're charging you accordingly for it. So it can work out much more expensive than running a fossil fueled car if you're constantly using public charging. So what I will say is, it's a reminder driving the Enyaq Coupe this week of what a good family car it is. There's room for everybody, pets in the boot, a lot of practical stuff. No one's kind of moaning about space, comfort. There's loads of light. The doors go all the way down in the rear for kids who like a bit of air, or just if they're on a long journey feeling a little bit claustrophobic and stuff like that. So plenty of stuff to keep the family happy. The price is really the thing that mightn't make everybody happy. And my final observation today versus the standard Enyaq and the Enyaq Coupe is this. Being totally honest with you, I kind of struggle to see why you'd pay the extra premium to get a slightly smaller boot, a slightly different looking rear, but again, the Enyaq does everything this car does. So it's going to be a pretty hard sell, I would think, unless just a personal design preference. It's not like it's slightly more efficient because of the design of the back of the car. It's just a slightly different design. And the biggest competitor for the Enyaq Coupe is just the standard Enyaq, which is fantastic in its own right. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.